Today's a Tuesday, and we have our big condos today. All right, guys, we are on site again with our lawn maintenance crew. This is the same crew that you saw for our residential maintenance setup, and we just wanted to kind of highlight how we do it also commercially. So this is a complex we're on. It's about 30 units, and then we go next door, and that's even a bigger complex. It's got about 9 buildings and then about 30 homes. So, you know, when you do set up these residential setups, you also have to think about your commercial setup and how you're going to play it out. Today they're going to be running a 36-inch, a 52, and a 61. With these condos, they do have tight front lawns, especially on the next one that they have to take care of. So we want to have those smaller mowers for the smaller sections, so we're not blowing grass in the lawn or in the mulch beds, as well as, you know, we just actually can fit in and not have to worry about rocks and everything else and squeezing through. So that's when it comes to equipment setup. Trimmers and blowers and edgers all remain the same for these setups, but that's really on the equipment side. When it comes to setting up a commercial site, we do run 4 guys in this truck, so they can get through both of these sites today without having just one guy trimming or one guy mowing. We kind of alternate through the day, and they split up the work so that not one person is burned out. That's something huge that we preface on every crew, is rotating the crop. You know, just like farmers do with their fields, we want to do it the same with our crews. We want guys on the mowers for some jobs, and then we swap them out and get them on the trimmer. So that helps keep the morale up, it keeps the energy up, and you don't go home and you're dead. So when it comes to pricing these sites, it can be very hard when you start getting the RFPs or requests for proposals for these properties. And what we found to be the easiest way to do it is we have a formula. We take a spreadsheet, we count the number of homes, and we multiply it by, you know, a price per home. And then we add in the common area, and that kind of comes up with our total pricing. When you do look at these sites, it can be a little deceiving because there's so many homes, you know, and you're just like overwhelmed because you don't know how long it will take. That's the simplest way. That's our systematic way to allow our account managers to continue to bill and also quote the work. You know, we know what we're getting per lawn, and then we compare that to a residential lawn. Obviously the pricing changes because we're doing volume. You're not going to get a $40 cut on 40 homes. You know, the price may fluctuate based on the number of units. That also applies to all of the edging and all of the snow removal. Snow removal is a huge one for us. You know, you're getting sent a lot of different bids, and you can't always go out and look at all the sites. So we count driveways, we count front walkways, and we count the city walks, and then we have a calculator built out. You know, we'll try to share that with you guys in the coming weeks. You know, that has allowed us to just be consistent. We know that what has worked well on one site, we then transfer it to another one, and we see how it plays out. We do about 9 or 10 different condominium complexes or large properties, and creating consistent bids across all of them helps us with not only improving the profitability of the crew, but also making sure the pricing is competitive for the client and for us in the market. So again, that's kind of how we set up a day like today. This crew is going to mow about 3 condos, and then they'll get onto their residential lawns tomorrow, and then that's the same thing on Thursday. So that's basically how we're doing it. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. So if you're starting out in the lawn care industry and it's your first year mowing grass, I highly recommend you look at the residential side. It's a little bit easier to control. If you are losing money on one job, you're not losing money on 15 jobs. And that's the same thing that goes within condominiums. You know, you want to make sure that the pricing that you have is profitable, because you don't want to be doing these large properties and then end up losing money on something that's a large scale. Once you understand your production rates, how much you can mow in an hour, and start seeing that, that's when I would recommend that you start looking at condominiums, apartment complexes, or any of the commercial accounts. To start out, that's what I did. We were mowing about 60 residential lawns. We maybe had 1 or 2 commercial, and you know, we just kind of grew that as we developed. So that's how I'd recommend it going forward. We got Rocky over here tearing it up with the weed whip, making sure everything looks good. And yeah, like I said, starting out, you're not always going to be the biggest, you know, it takes time. This is, I've been cutting grass since I was 12, almost 12 years now. You know, half my life has been cutting grass. So it's something that you just build on and you learn as you grow. So if you do have further questions regarding maintenance, it is super location heavy. You know, what is priced in Lansing is not what's priced in Detroit, and across the country, pricing fluctuates. So we'll try to share at least a template of how we're doing it in the coming weeks so that you guys can use it, and hopefully it helps your business. So we thank you for watching. Again, let us know in the comments what other things you'd like to see on site or in the office. We want to share as much as we can and provide as much value to everyone.